So, how much volume should you be doing? It's a question that we're going to answer over the next 5 minutes or so. Okay, so what is volume? Well, volume is the amount of work you're doing in a particular time, and it can vary tremendously. Not all volume is the same. For example, if you spend all your time riding fairly easy, chatting on rides, cruising around, that's a very different volume to if you're working really hard. Every time you go out, you go full gas and thrash yourself, every time you're on a bike. So what we need to be thinking about really is what's the best volume, what sort of effort and load are we putting on ourselves as we get older. And if you saw the last video, and I'll link that in the description below if you haven't seen that, I suggest you go to that one first. We spoke about consistency, and the key thing is being consistent in zone 2 riding, or fairly easy riding, in that you can still ride along and just about have a chat, but it's still a bit of an effort to keep it up, and you're still pressing the pedals, and gradually you'll push up your fitness by doing that. So as we're looking to get fit, what we need to be doing is trying to push that base, to bring that, or make that base get bigger, to broaden the base of the pyramid, so that eventually we can build a much higher fitness. If you're looking just to maintain fitness, we don't always need to be pushing what we're doing. If you're happy riding 3 or 4 hours a week with your friends and you're of pretty good fitness, obviously that's fine. If you want to increase your fitness, one thing you are going to have to do is push the amount you're doing. So what we're trying to do is increase that gradually, maybe half an hour a week over a period of weeks, to gradually build up the amount we're riding each week. So maybe in the beginning you start off with 1 or 2 hours riding a week, gradually working your way up. And for an amateur and someone in their 50s, if you're probably managing to do 6 to 10 hours a week, you're probably doing pretty well. So the idea with volume in the beginning is just to increase that amount of zone 2 riding you're doing and build that aerobic base and your general health. I'm sure you've heard of the old saying, use it or lose it. And as you get older, that particularly applies. And I think with any sort of fitness, if you don't keep up that consistent amount of work, that consistent volume, you will notice your fitness declining. And as you get older, it declines that much more quickly. So if you want to keep fit, the key thing, as we said in that last video, is consistency and trying to keep up the amount of hours you manage to build up to. So if you're doing 6 hours a week, trying to maintain that over a long period will really sort of cement in that fitness for you. So if you've managed to build up your base and you're doing maybe 6 to 8 hours a week, or whatever's comfortable for you, of zone 2 riding, there is a time now to start thinking about doing some intervals and some harder efforts which will increase your fitness more, and we'll look at those in the next video. So if you haven't liked or subscribed to the channel, please do so and click that bell icon, and you'll be notified when that next video comes out. So what we need to try to do is make sure we're keeping our zone 2 riding the majority of the riding we're doing. So probably if you're aiming for about 70 to 80% of your riding time is that zone 2 riding, that will really help build that fitness base. So that's, obviously if you're doing 8 to 10 hours, you probably want to be doing 6 to 7 to 8 hours easy riding, and maybe an hour or 2 of a harder efforts on top of that. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that video. Hope it was worthwhile. Thanks for staying to the end. If you can, please subscribe to the channel to help it grow, and keep watching for that next video on intervals, which will come next week.